So this is a quick case study on exactly how we took this brand from making $2 million to adding an extra $1 million in just email attributor revenue, which therefore increased their revenue to about $3.3 million every single month. So you can see just in this timeline over here, this is October 2024 and this is March 2025. So this was done in the span of about 5 months, let's say, and we added an extra $1 million every single month. And so the way that we did this is specifically by looking at their overall monthly revenue, which is $2.1 million. And what we want to look at next is how much of that is from email revenue. And email attributor revenue is less than 7%. And that is a huge issue. If your email attributor revenue for your brand is less than 40%, you have a big problem. It says that there's a ton of room for improvement, and that's something you need to look into. And so we took a look at this number, and then we looked and audited the account, and I recommend you do this for your account as well. We always take a look at the amount of returning customers and then the amount of purchases in comparison. And if your returning customer rate is way lower, or the returning customer count is way lower than the amount of actual purchases, that tells you that you have a massive retention problem. And this is low-hanging fruit that you can fix with email. So what we did is we took a look at those numbers, and you can take a look at what we did in a 5-month span. We doubled the amount of returning customers and we doubled the amount of purchases. And so that in turn meant that we didn't have to constantly spend to acquire new customers with ads. Instead, what we focused on was the kind of doubling down and getting their existing customers they've already spent to acquire to come and purchase. And that's a big issue that happens in this industry. Is so many people are focusing on spending to acquire, but they're not focusing on what they can do to make sure that they can double down on their acquired customers already. So what we want to take a look at is you can see that just from those simple fixes, we increased the revenue $1.1 million. And you can see this was in March 2025 versus October 2024, where they were only getting 158K. And now you can see that their email or their overall revenue actually increased by $1 million exactly. So it was 3.3 and it was 2.1 previously. And so we increased by about $1 million exactly. And you can see that's exactly what the increase was to total revenue. So huge difference there, massive, massive, massive difference. And the biggest portion of it, of course, came from email marketing. So here's exactly what we did. You can see that their overall analytics, what we were focusing on is we focused on making sure that we were sending to the right people and that we were optimizing on flows carrying majority of the weight. So if you look at previously, when they were doing way less revenue, so even in January, they were only doing 350K. And what was happening is they were relying heavily on campaigns. So you can see this massive spike from these campaigns. They were relying on campaigns and they were not sending enough. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they've only got 5 sends in total. That is not enough. Every single brand should at minimum be sending 2 to 3 emails a week. And you should be segmenting that so it doesn't become overwhelming or fatiguing to the audience. And then the flows were kind of flatlining. They weren't doing too much. Now, what we ended up doing is we flipped it, where majority of the revenue is being generated by flows. So, and I'll show you exactly what those flows are and how you can mimic this system. But the reason why this is way healthier is because then we don't always have to rely on manual output to get those sales. Instead, we can rely on flows generating that outcome. And so here is exactly what we did, right? So for the flows, we focus on getting new customers. Our welcome flow is our highest generating flow, generating us over $339,000. Now, the way that we did this is by setting up a pop-up form that gets incredibly high conversions. So we set up a desktop and a mobile version, and you can see the submissions on this one is incredible. And so we're getting about 14% of people to convert, and just on that we get generating like 119K every single month just from the submissions. So we're running ads, they're coming to the website, they see a really high converting pop-up, and the way that we do the pop-up is we're saying, hey, get 25% off. They enter their information and they say get 25% off, and then we make them select something specific here, which I recommend for every brand. They've already entered their information, they feel like they have to give this additionally to unlock their 25% when they don't actually. But always, always, always make a very simple, to the point pop-up form. Don't add weird information or extra information. Just simple, hey, enjoy 25% off, unlock it here, and then give them to, or get them to answer something else as well. Then we get the welcome series. Again, this generated $339,000. Now, the usual structure that we use is the structure. It's a welcome structure for, new customers, which is generalized. Then what we did is we decided to take this structure and we built it around the specifications. So if they're just using the product for fun, if they're using it for specific benefits, or if they're using it for their pet, what we want to do is we want to segment these people. So you can see over here, essentially as soon as they join, we're splitting it off into the interests that they selected. So this is what is generating us all that revenue, is we're very specific in our welcome flow. Whereas every other brand just says, hey, welcome to AG1. Hey, welcome to Olipop. We are really excited to have you here, blah, blah, blah. General. Whereas if you're spoken to directly based on your interest, you're going to convert at a much higher rate. And so we split that off and we get incredible results. So you can see just on this first one, this one alone, 11.5% conversion rate on that first one. So that's essentially how we optimize the welcome flow to make sure that they convert. And what we do is we actually filter out anyone that purchases during this welcome flow. And what we're doing is we're putting them instead into a post-purchase flow. So as soon as they enter into our funnel, they're going to convert. And once they convert, we want to push them out into a post-purchase flow. Now, this post-purchase flow is super simple. We're putting them in where we're basing it on categories again. So if they purchase gummies, we're going to send them, hey, thank you for your order. And we're going to send them a dosage guide on exactly how to take those gummies, when it's for, etc., etc. And then we're going to do a review request about 2 weeks after being able to use that product. So they would have used the product 2 weeks by now, and we can send a review request, which is the number one thing you want to do. By now, they're probably interested, they're about to rebuy as well, and so we want to capitalize on that. And then what we do is we do a follow-up. This is optional, but we do tend to follow up with anyone that has not left a review yet. And then we send a refill reminder. So what you could do additionally is you could actually split this off based on orders. So if they've purchased once, they'll get like a generalized post-purchase. If they purchase twice, you'll give them a review and a subscription push. But we don't want to do that. We want to push for a review because that's what pushes most of our conversions. We've seen it. And we want to put that in more emails. And so what we do is we just replicate that. So anyone that purchased gummies, pre-rolls, vapes, whatever it is, shirts, pants, hoodies, you want to split it off based on what they actually purchased. Then from there, what we're doing is we want to capitalize on the subscribe and save flow. And spoiler alert, this is the biggest revenue generating flow for us. Most people do not focus on subscribe and save and they don't know how to do it properly. We have nailed it. 513K in a single month from our subscribe and save, which is why you saw those increases of flow revenue. And this is essentially how we lay it out. It's super simple. There's nothing complicated about it. We're really simple with it. So we have our subscribe and save, which is when someone places an order, we wait 50 days. And from there, we're going to send a, hey, get 25% when you subscribe and save. And again, you want to wait a specific amount of time that is valid enough for them to make their second purchase. So we saw that our average retention cycle was about 25 days. And so we wanted to wait about the second month phase where they're very likely to place their second order. And what we're doing is we're encouraging a subscribe and save. So it's super simple. Get 25%, we're explaining how their routine can be simplified, and then we're sending another reminder. And so this is essentially what it will look like in the email itself. We're saying, hey, essentially you can get 25% every single week, and the audience really like discounts. So they saw this as a discount or a sale that they could capitalize on every single month. And so we almost gamified it where they could see, okay, if I subscribe and save, I get all these benefits. Plus, I save every single month and I'm going to buy these anyway. And this is the best revenue generating flow. Now, in terms of cadence of campaigns, this is our email strategy. We send 3 to 4 times per week. And if you think that that's going to fatigue your audience, you definitely don't know email marketing. Because what we do is we do text-only emails, meme emails, notes from the founder, image-based education, and promo and upsell campaigns. So we're doing quite a variety of campaigns, and you can see that, just with these alone, you can pretty much, let's just say like one a day. But what we're doing is our text-only emails are the highest converting campaigns. So this is our highest converting. And then the meme emails is our second highest. So let me just write it as SC. So text-only emails, highest converting campaigns by a mile. We make it look like it's coming from someone in the team. Meme emails is the second highest, and then we'll have notes from the founder, and then we'll do generalized, this is how to take your product, and we'll do it as an infographic campaign. But these email campaigns are so important because it builds culture with the audience, and it makes them feel like we're not just searching for a sale. And our text only is incredible because, again, it looks like someone from the team is actually reaching out and sending a personal note. If you take a look at the best performing people in the industry, this is exactly what they do. Have a look at Breeze. Breeze, for example, is sending a majority of the campaigns actually end up being text only. So Corbin from Breeze, this is a text only campaign. So Corbin from Breeze, Corbin, that's already 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10. They have 10 text only emails in comparison to their 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 actual image-based emails. So text always trumps, and this is essentially what it looks like. It looks like it is actually coming from someone in the team. It's got a little bit of personality, but it's still selling. That's the most important thing. You can see that it does still sell. They're giving a bit of information. They're saying, hey, PS, blah, blah, blah. And this makes you feel like it's relatable and that someone is actually taking care of you with the team. These cut through because everyone has dialed in their graphics for emails. So it's kind of gone back to like an early 2000 approach where just plain text emails cut through everything. It seems less BSy, it seems way less salesy, so it's going to perform better. And so what they do is they create these two personas. There's going to be someone on the team, which is this text only email, someone on the team, so Corbin from the team. And then once a month, they'll send a note from the founder, which gets majority of the attention because it's rarer. You don't want to do this more frequently and then ruin how rare it feels to the user. You want to do this once a month. You want to do this at least twice a week. And then this one once a week about. And so that's essentially how the cadence works. And you can see when they're sending. They send on the 30th, the 29th, 28th, 27th, 26th, 25th, 24th, 23th, essentially every single day of this week, they were sending an email. It doesn't seem overwhelming because it's coming from different people sometimes, and it's completely different topics. And so that's how you can approach it. Same thing. This is a sleep product that is high ticket. They don't have the same amount of replenishing products as Breeze, but 8 Sleep does an incredibly good job as well. And you can see they send from Abby, Mateo, and the team. And then in between they'll send their image-based emails. So in terms of the way that these emails should look, here's essentially what they will look like. This is an educational campaign, super simple. And then this is more like a meme or cultural email, which talks about a recipe. This performs incredibly, incredibly well. And pay attention to the design. What we do for our clients is we make sure that we always have the logo on the main image, so it's not taking additional space. We have a headline, we have the main image, and then we immediately have a call to action. We're not trying to include tons of information here. We're trying to make it high converting. Every single one of them does this. Take a look here. Logo, headline, urgency, subtext, and then CTA, all within 5 seconds of the email. You already know exactly what is happening, what you want to buy, and where you want to buy it. And if you take a look at their text-only emails that some brands are doing, super simple. Again, this is just building culture. And then they only add the CTA at the end, like you're almost searching for the CTA. But this gets a lot of sales and a lot of clicks, and it's pretty clear why. So this is our simple system on how we managed to add an extra $1 million of revenue to this brand just with email marketing. Essentially, to summarize, what we're focusing on is, number one, the audience. We're focusing on getting purchasers to repeat purchase, and we're getting non-purchasers to actually place their order. So anyone that's engaged but never placed an order, we're getting them to convert. Second thing, the flows are the biggest conversion for us. The welcome flow, the post-purchase, and then the subscribe and save are the biggest areas to capitalize on. Then the third thing is the campaigns. Make sure that you're capitalizing on campaigns that are a variety, that you're sending more frequently, and that you are approaching things with text only specifically. That is our simple system that managed to grow this brand as quickly as possible in the span of 5 months, that now they're making an extra $1 million every single month on autopilot without having to spend more on ads. Hopefully this was enjoyable. Now, if you are a brand that is looking for an agency to work with, I recommend you go down below this video and you book in a call. We'd be more than happy to do a free consultation for you and see if you're a good fit. But with that being said, I'll see you in the next one.